keep up with Lee and Liefeson and play that music, it's Mike Portnoy. So that's just a little aside that I'm just throwing out there. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that later on as time goes on. And Lee,
all right, let's stay on topic.
Get back to Van Halen.
Focus. Let's focus.
Yes.
This is breaking news.
This is a special additional bonus Van Halen news segment. Dave and I wanted to add this on from NAMM. We're not at NAMM, but we are reporting on NAMM, which is the National Association of Music Merchants, which happens every year in late January. And we wanted to get this out to you because some Van Halen news broke during the NAMM convention, and Dave and I wanted to include that in the news segment. So we're going to have some news segments here from NAMM. Adding to the whole mystery of whether Van Halen is going to tour or not, Michael Anthony appeared at NAMM where he did a interview with Groove, the No Tremble podcast. He did it a live interview in front of an audience. When he was asked about the possible Van Halen reunion, Mike take a little change in tone a little bit. Instead of saying, I haven't spoken to the guys since 2004, he said, right now, I cannot talk either for or against a Van Halen reunion. I'm just not allowed. This was not a no, but rather a reluctant yes, as I told Dave. That's sort of a journalism term. When someone says no, straight out, usually when something is no, they say no straight out. It could be a yes if they meander or drag their feet, and I call that a reluctant yes or a non-confirmed yes. So, no one really knows exactly what's going on. Everything continues to be cryptic. We still have a long way to go here, but this is sort of a strange way to let this information out. I don't quite understand their game plan here. If you're going to do something like a reunion, you make a proper announcement. You don't have Dave sort of hem and haw about a Yankee Stadium gig when promoting a tattoo product, and when Mike's out there promoting his bass products at NAMM, he just sort of, I don't know, well, maybe, I can't really say. I mean, what do you think of this, Dave?
So I've never been this excited about a non-answer in all my life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, so Mike is very fan-friendly, and I don't think he's purposely going to go out of his way to lie to the fans.
Right, that's true.
I don't think the ink is dry.
No, yeah.
Or he can't say anything because there will be a proper announcement date.
Right.
But this is how things work in Van Halen land. A little piece here, a little piece there. Next thing you know, Cody's saying something.
I know, yeah, it's true.
So I will say this. I am more cautiously optimistic than I was before he said that.
That's right. And that is a huge thing for you because we all know. Yeah.
Look, I'm not giving my hopes up because the guy was like Pinocchio in Shrek. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Right.
He doesn't want to disappoint anybody, and I get that.
Well, that, folks, is Dave's reluctant yes. That's the way Dave...
Well, really, I don't blame the guy.
No,
I'm not going to go out on a limb and say, hey, he's back in the band, because I'm sure he's not.
Well,
I'm sure there's either some fierce negotiation going on, or everyone has been said, don't say anything, or you're not getting paid.
But you can't... It's just like when one of your kids says, Mommy told me not to tell. I mean, it's like, it's not saying anything, but at the same time, it's like you're by saying I can't say anything, I mean, you're basically saying something. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Yeah. Oh, and the problem is it just leads to all sorts of conjecture.
Yeah.
And that some of those news outlets that just will push out any headline on the internet for clickbait are going to be all over this like a field day. So all I know is that if there is a reunion, I hope to God that they play someplace on the East Coast where you and I can see them.
Yeah, of course.
I guess I had to mentally gear myself that it could be some kind of festival show, and I will have to sit around all darn day for about 8 bands before I see Van Halen, which isn't really my cup of tea. But hey, if that's the way I get to see the original lineup, then here we go.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is that I'm going to give Dave the credit. He made the prediction a few podcasts ago about it being a possible Classic East, Classic West, which happened in 2017, which is run by Irving Azoff, Van Halen's manager. So they could be bringing that whole concept back where they do one stadium show on the East Coast and one stadium show on the West Coast featuring a lineup of a whole bunch of classic bands. Back then they had the Eagles and Steely Dan and Journey, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Fleetwood Mac, and they were all part of a festival. There was like 3 bands per day, and I went to Classic East, and it was fantastic. I have to say, I think Dave has got the closest of all the estimations, including Mr. Trunk and Mitch LaFon and all those guys out there. However, the reason why I say that is because the way this is panning out, it doesn't have the feel of a tour. It sounds like, maybe we're kind of reuniting, and it's like, and the other thing is, I would find it strange to reunite under those circumstances. Like I said to Dave and I were messaging each other yesterday, saying, if it was me, I would really do it up. If you're going to do it up. Like, get a bunch of stadium dates and really be like the original 4 lineup. We're going to play 1984 in its entirety, and we're going to play all the hits after that, from, Jamie's Crying to Beautiful Girls to Running with the Devil and Ain't Talk About Love and Everybody Wants Some, Pretty Woman, and all, and do all those hits afterwards. And I would redo the 1984 stage, and I'd sell old-fashioned throwback merch and have a really strong opening act. And then you could really sell a nostalgia package for a stadium tour, because people will come out of the woodwork for something like that. They really will. If you promote it properly and say, you know what, we're going to do one big show in LA, one big show in New York, one big show in Chicago, one big show in Dallas, and make 4 points throughout the country on the West Coast, East Coast, and in the Midwest and stuff, in the South and the North Midwest, it would make sense to do something like that. And I don't know, possibly take that overseas if it goes well, if it makes money. I don't know. If they show up on the bill for Classic East and West, I think Dave is right in that regard. I think everything points in that direction. But maybe that's a testing of the waters. Maybe let's just dip our toe in here and see how we can pull this off and get a nice payday, and maybe we can go further with this. But the other question is Wolf completely out of the band then? I mean, what is the story with that? Or is Wolf fully going off on his solo? Or is Wolf going to be the special guest on the tour? I mean, there's that too. And is this the reason why he's withholding his album? I mean, look, we're past the halfway point where this album is basically 6 months old and it hasn't been released. He's going to hold it another 6 months. It's going to be on the shelf for a year. I mean, it's just a little odd. So what do you think of that?
Okay, that's not going to happen. There's no way Wolf is going to be out of the band. But the best way for him to stay in the band is for Mike to do a one-off, 1 or 2 shows, like you said, and maybe they'll dip their toes, or maybe this is just it. They do a reunion show or 2. They're done. The fans get what they want. Van Halen gets their payday. Everyone can stop complaining. and I don't know if we can move on with our lives, but at least there'll be a Michael Anthony show. Wolf is not going to delay his album 6 months. I still think it'll come out this year.
Yeah.
And the other thing to realize is that there's a Circle album coming out.
Yep.
And there's a Circle tour coming out.
That's right.
Which apparently Mike talked about while he was at NAMM.
Okay.
And I think it was something like a 3-month tour or something like that. So Mike is doing stuff this year. And depending on when the Circle tour is, might interfere with the Van Halen plans. Although, if it were me and I was offered a big payday to play 1 or 2 dates with Van Halen, I would tell Sam, sorry, but I'm not going to be in Oshkosh for the Circle show because, I got to play with the boys.
Yeah. Look, Sam's a businessman. He's smart, and he's
Sam knows.
And he would never...
He'd be jealous as heck, but he knows.
He would never hurt Mikey in that way, and he would, I think, would accommodate Mike and work around it, and I don't think that'll be a problem, but we shall see. It's interesting. I think fans are getting very excited about this possible reunion, and we don't know the parameters of it, and if it really was a full-blown, hey... where Mike's back in the band, Wolf's going to go solo, and we are going to do a whole big tour. I think that would have been some sort of big announcement. But the way this is meandering left and right, I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost anticlimactic.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, some fans, they're excited at the non-answer. But other fans are like, because we've been burned before, right?
Right.
So some fans are like, that is nothing. That is nothing.
Yeah.
And it's nothing until it's something.
Right.
So don't give your hopes up because Mike was kind of sort of alluding to something that may or may not happen.
You know what the other thing is Mike maybe is trying to keep the door open. I mean, you just
maybe,
in the sense that he's like, hey man, I'll play with Chickenfoot. Hey man, I'll play with the Circle. Hey man, I'll play with Van Halen. Hey, I'm part of all these legacies, and I'm happy to do whatever. And Mike's in his 60s too, and it's like last round. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Well, he said never say never.
But here's the thing. I mean, look, the Stones are an act of God. I mean, I don't think these guys are going to be touring when they're 75. I just don't.
Keith is 75.
No. I'm saying, right. I'm saying they're
not.
Oh,
you're saying Van Halen won't tour when they're 75.
Right, Keith is 75, Mick is 75. These guys, they're, like I said, they're like an act of God. I mean, it's unreal the way they tour and the level they are playing at, and it's unbelievable. But I don't foresee Van Halen playing in 10 years. I mean, 11 years. I mean, that's... 11 years from now, Eddie will be 75 years old. Holy shit. Like, I can't imagine that he's going to be... I mean, he could be playing. Absolutely. Look, Les Paul played until he was how old? But I think Eddie could play. But I'm saying Van Halen as a unit. I mean, it's hard to pull that off. You know what I mean?
Well, they're barely playing now, so...
Right.
I don't disagree with you, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, if anybody saw Kiss's schedule right now, you couldn't believe it. I mean, they're doing like 150 dates. I mean, that is intense, especially their show is taxing. I mean, people don't realize they're each wearing like 20, 30 pounds of armor and makeup and stuff, and
this is their last payday, and they're milking it for all they're worth.
I understand, but at the same time, Gene is like almost 70, I guess, and he's breathing fire and flying above the audience. I mean, like, how many 70-year-olds are fucking doing that? What I'm saying is, Van Halen would be hemming and hawing over a couple of shows. You know what I mean? It's like Kiss is out there doing 150, and it's like a massive, massive production. So we'll see. We'll have to see what happens, and we'll keep following this as it goes on. Another rumor that came out of NAMM I'd like to bring up is the possibility of Lynyrd Skynyrd being a special guest on the Van Halen tour. The proposed, if possible, will it ever happen? Who knows? Van Halen Stadium tour. However, I don't know if I see that as a viable choice. I'm thinking that would be more of a Classic East selection. Lynyrd Skynyrd would be a perfect Classic East partner. And I'm wondering if that's where that's coming from. What do you think?
Yeah, they would be a good band for that.
Yeah.
It's tough with Skynyrd these days because are there any original members left in Skynyrd?
Yeah, there's one.
Is there one?
Yeah. The guitarist, Gary Rossington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but he's not well either. So
well, here's the thing about Gary. Gary is not well. And this is why they're kind of closing up shop, is because he's sort of finishing up this tour, and that's going to be it for the band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see them as an opening act
for
Van Halen. I mean, that'd be a good double bill.
Yep. I saw
the East-West thing, I don't... Maybe. Like, if they were one of the first acts on the bill, I could see that, only because, there's only one original member left, and that kind of, unfortunately takes away from the band.
I have to say,
but who knows? I take that rumor. I'm not discounting the guy who said it, but like all these kind of rumors I take with a grain of salt, because everybody knows somebody except for me, and